Hi, I'm Rory Kennedy, and I'm here with Tanaz Eshaghian, and we're going to talk today about her fantastic film, As Far as They Can Run, which is a short, and I watched it a couple times now. It's very powerful, very important story, and I'm thrilled to be here with you today.
Thank you, Rory. I'm so thrilled to be here too, and thank you for taking the time.
So let's just start with the beginning. How did you come to make this film? How did you get inspired to tell this story? And maybe just tell us a little bit about the film to orient our audiences.
Well, first of all, coming from you, that means a lot to me. I really respect you and your work, so thank you, and thank you for taking the time to talk to me about it. I came upon it. I met the woman that is the head of Special Olympics in Pakistan, Ronak Lakhani, and she was telling me about the kind of work they do, where they go into interior Sindh and such places, kind of deeper in the countryside, where there are children who are intellectually disabled, and the families are so at their wits' end with such few resources. They often don't know how to do what to do, and to protect them, they sometimes lock them up or chain them so that at least they're not running around and destroying things or destroying themselves in some way or being raped or what have you. And I was like, that is unbelievably, that's just amazing. I blew my mind. I kept thinking about it, and I thought, there is a film here. If if there is if there is some sort of hope that they'll improve once they join the sports program that she was telling me about, that goes and finds them and tries to get them engaged. And so I just got up and went to Karachi.
Okay, so you were in Pakistan, in rural Pakistan, for most of the filming of this. Can you tell me what it was like to film there and what the challenges were like and the logistics, how you pulled that off, and just some of the details of what you experienced?
I got very, I mean, it was actually a wonderful experience. I, it's a communal culture, and it's not as full of like rules and regulations, and it's just a matter of like this one helps that one, and you need to go to a place. Oh, I know so and so there, and you show up, and then you have like you want to meet the people you want to talk to or be in the film. You have some tea. It's very relationship based and very human, and I love that. Like I've made films in Iran and in Afghanistan, and it's similar in that way. Um, so it's very pleasant. I mean, a few funny things happened where at some point the in the interior Sindh, the local police was alerted that there was a foreigner around. That would be me. So they sent two truckloads of policemen with like guns to quote unquote escort us around town. And they kept saying it's for your own protection. And I was like, well, actually, you're drawing a lot of attention to us, and I don't look that different from all of you. So okay, but fine. I mean, things like that would happen. But overall, it was fun. Then they wanted a photo, so then we all got together and took a photo. I mean, it was entertaining. I really really enjoyed making this film, even though what I saw in terms of the way people are living, frankly, really was depressing, especially the first time.
Yeah.
I had a very hard time with it. And then, as with everything, you get used to it.
But tell us and tell the audience about some of your characters, because they've stayed with me, and I imagine they'll stay with me forever. Um, Tell me,
Well,
how you found these people, and a little bit more about their personal stories.
so I found the teenagers that were, in these situations that you see in the film. Two are chained, their feet are chained, and one is locked in a room. And the way that I found them was there is a woman who is a social worker, Tehmina, with the Special Olympics, who contacted a social worker in Interior Sin, Noor, who's a lovely, lovely man as well. And he knows the area, people know people over there. And he said, there's these teenagers that we need to go and see and try and help. And that's it. We hit the road. And we show up, and you offer, they, as you see in the film, they offer to help. And what I found interesting was that the parents were kind of doubtful, because they kept saying over and over again, "That's very nice of you, really, but why are you helping us? What's in it for you?" So there was a lot of that.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about your impression. I mean, was this a situation where people were really overwhelmed with how to treat people with intellectual disabilities? So talk to
Yeah.
me a little bit about what the context is for these stories, for people locking up children, for them chaining children who are clearly, not a threat and disabled. Um,
Yes.
why, where that kind of reaction comes from, and what a difference it makes when people are given some support and resources to actually
Totally.
address the problem and the challenges.
Well, yeah, I think hopefully what we get a sense of in the film is that these are families that really just are they're so limited in their resources. They're at their wits' end, and they have teenagers now that they have concerns about. Namely, there's a girl in the film, Sana, who you see her trajectory, and she ends up becoming a great runner, whereby they have chained her leg to a sort of table chair thing called a charpai, because they fear that if she runs off, which she will, because whenever she hears music or a party, she loves to run to it, they're afraid she'll get raped because it's happened to someone else in the village. And so to them, it's like, how can we go on with our lives but make sure she's safe? Right? So they made that decision. With the boys, one of the boys you see in the film, now also a teenager, probably more like 18, 19, would run off and set things on fire and burn things. And this would cost the family a tremendous amount of money that they didn't have. And it would ruin things, and it was destructive. So they were also at their wits' end. So, and they literally would say to me, and all the neighbors say, "Why don't you chain him?" Because the other thing you have to understand is, I realize this is not abnormal in that area. It's a quick way to keep someone safe. So you have a context of there's no other resource, and they just want to keep the child from in some way endangering themselves or others. So they've come to this. I hope you see in the film that these are not, people that are really in a different than we are. It's just a matter of they just don't have the resources, and they have this problem.
Right. Okay, so then talk to me about the role of Special Olympics in your film, in this story, and then in kind of the larger context of the impact an organization like the Special Olympics can have in communities with such limited resources. And
Well, it's yes. I actually found that a organization like this has a lot more impact in countries that do not have other, or have very few other functioning organizations. If you look at, for instance, like Special Olympics in America, there's so many wonderful organizations that function, and it does great work, and it has impact, but the impact it has in a place like Pakistan or Tanzania or Kenya, where so little works, and there's so few organizations that are not corrupt, that are not in some way just basically dysfunctional. When an organization that has its act together comes in and is organized, it not only changes the child's life, the teenager's life, it changes the entire family's life, and it spreads to the community.
yeah, and
So that's what made it amazing.
I experienced that so much in watching your film, and part of it was that it is so sad when you see these children being treated this way, and you know the potential that these kids have, and that they're locked up and they're chained down and that they're treated the way they are is just absolutely heartbreaking. But in the context of this kind of tragedy, in the way people treat humans, I also found it enormously hopeful and inspiring as a film and as a story.
Yes, yeah, I know what you mean in the sense that there's still hope and there's still a chance that if you're given a little bit of love and a little bit of attention, that your human dignity can be restored. Even if it's been so taken away, you've been cast aside by your own community. I mean, that's what I feel like honestly, it's actually a very subtle shift. This is not a big dramatic movie in that sense, but it's this like subtle little shift that like a little bit of care and a little bit of love just brings a human being back into the group.
Yeah. Well, you did a beautiful job with it, and it is the film and the story is told with so much heart and sensitivity, and it's well built, and it's a beautiful film. So congratulations. Tell me about your
Thank you so much.
yeah, of course. Tell me about your own experience. How did it impact you making this film?
Um, Honestly, I generally don't have much hope in humanity in general. And so I look for subjects to see if I can kind of like restore my faith that people will go the extra mile. They're not always thinking what's in it for me. And um, that's something that really bothers me, where it's like, why can't you go the extra mile? Why can't you like get over yourself? And so that's what drew me to this. And seeing the coaches and the social worker really go the extra mile and care and make that effort where the family feels like supported and seen and heard, and that that really impacted me in the sense of like I feel a little less misanthropic.
And what
That's the
about
honest. That's the honest.
yeah, 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 I appreciate that. Was it hard for you? And this is, always, I think, a challenge in so many documentaries to not intervene or to bring your own sense of judgment of right and wrong. And
Yeah,
what,
of course.
how did you navigate?
I did not have any right or wrong issues because I understood. I knew. I understood what context they were in, what was happening, and I knew I would probably anyone would do the same. I got that. I didn't feel in any way like, oh my God. I was like, God, what a decision, brutal. But I did want to intervene, and like at some point I did my own ways of helping. I'm still in touch, and like they kind of know if there's things go really badly. There's like Westerners in the background for them, sort of thing.
Mhm.
So you can't not in some way intervene and still keep your own humanity.
Yeah. What is your hope with this film?
Well, my hope is really twofold. One is to bring attention um, to this situation, and to sort of the more attention you bring to it, the more people will ideally help, and disabled children in places such as rural Pakistan will have somewhat of a decent life, ideally. The second is to really try to open up the dialogue in the West so that audiences are interested again in issues outside of their own backyard. What I sense has happened in the last 6 years is that we've become very inward looking for obvious reasons, for the attacks on democracy and so on and so forth. And we have so many of our own issues that it almost feels like too anxiety inducing or too privileged to be able to care for anything other than our own homes. And I'm hoping that this film will somehow change that a little bit, where we remember that there's a larger world and there are others that still need our help, and we are still strong enough and powerful enough to be able to look in their direction and be of service to them.
That's so nice. Obviously, you profiled a number of stories in this film, but it represents a much larger number of families who are facing similar challenges. Is there anything that we can do? So many of us, I know, watch your film and then we want to take action. What can we do to help support families like this?
I mean, the main thing that anyone can really do is give the financial support needed. It's as with everything, give the financial support needed so these folks that you see in the film can keep doing what they do, and even more people, more coaches, and more counselors can join the program, because as you see, they're really good at it. Like that's what I think makes me at this time also give them financial support, because I'm like, you get this done. Like you're really going out there and you get it done.
And
So the main thing you can do is that.
who is they in that sentence? Who are we giving?
This program is the Special Olympics Pakistan, and they would get the funding, which would then go to the coaches and the counselors, and also with getting these kids to and from the sports programs. They need money for the transportation, all sorts of things like that, for their outfits.
Listen, I so appreciate you doing everything you did to tell this story. I imagine it wasn't easy for a whole range of reasons, and appreciate your storytelling prowess, your tenacity, and
Thank you so much. I really appreciate
no,
that.
it's a really important and fantastic film. I hope it gets out there far and wide, Tanaz.
Thank you so much. And I hope to see you again soon.
Okay, take care.